Thanks for joining us tonight. A time-lapse video from this afternoon and evening showing this late March storm system making its way through the viewing area. Our first real threat of severe weather of the year.
Today's system did prompt a few tornado warnings as it moved through the viewing area.
But right now we will await word officially from the National Weather Service if any tornadoes touch down in our viewing area. But this was a wide-ranging storm. For people up north near the Twin Cities, it was more snow. But for people in Iowa, this is what they saw today. Tornadoes touching down there, as well as in several other states to our south. And these next photos are from Fulton County, Illinois. That's just southwest of Peoria. People in that area saw massive hail that damaged several cars, smashing out windshields.
Locally, we have team coverage tonight. Arman Rahman has been following these storms all day. He is live tonight in Greene County. First, though, let's get a closer look at where the storm is now and what is coming next. Here's Julian Seawright.
Well, that's where we're going to start, Charlotte. The good news is the storm has moved northeast and pretty much out of our viewing area. So we now have a break from seeing any of the storms for the rest of tonight's. But what comes next is a little bit of some winter-like weather. So this is what happened over about the last hour. We did see a bit of some rain showers just near Viroqua that spawned, but nothing really extravagant. But over towards the northeast, the storm system in itself was very fast moving. Some areas had seen storms that had clocked 80 to 70 miles per hour as it swept through much of southern Wisconsin and the upper Midwest in itself. But for the next 3 hours is what we're going to be starting to expect. Some showers will start to develop just north of Dane County, but on the back end, we are going to be watching for some snow rolling in throughout much of southern Wisconsin. But as Eric had mentioned, we are waiting for the National Weather Service to give some confirmed reports of any tornadoes that had touched down. But this is what we saw from our radar local storm reports. Just into the western side of Jefferson County, we had one confirmed tornado and then 2 tornadoes over towards Walworth County that had been, or 3, excuse me, just north of Elkhorn as well. So we had about 4 tornado reports that had come from our local storm reports. But you can see from the southwest, we were really concerned about the southwestern side of southern Wisconsin, but they had really some high winds that were really the main issues for those areas that had moved through much of southern Wisconsin. Now, taking a broader look, as we had mentioned, this has stretched throughout much of the midsection of the United States. From the northern parts of Wisconsin all the way down to parts of Texas had seen some form of severe weather. Mainly hail, but you could see even parts of southeastern side of Iowa and even for the western side of Illinois and central Illinois had reported some tornadoes that had moved into the area. So this was still a very broad storm that had moved its way through. As you take even a bit more broader look, parts of even Tennessee were impacted by this system. Now, taking a live look outside right now, again, it is quiet, but we do have some changes coming into this weekend. We'll talk about that in a few moments. Until then, back to you guys. Actually, we're going to start talking about a little bit more of some things of what we're going to see. Switching gears for a second, let me step out of the frame because we are looking for this weekend to be bringing in a bit of some windy conditions for us. So starting off with our future track, going into about our Saturday, we are going to look and see some developments of some mixing, especially just north of Dane County. Now, as we get into the later parts of what we're going to see into the overnight, going into our Saturday morning, some snowfall and some rain mixing in, especially for southern Wisconsin and for Madison. But you see those temperatures are mainly going to be into the mid-30s. We'll talk more about this in a few moments. Until then, back to you guys.
Thunderstorms going into tornadoes, I mean, it can just take minutes for that to develop.
Wisconsin Emergency Management today with a warning ahead of this evening's storms. We are seeing some damage reports in southwestern Wisconsin. This appears to be some sort of structure heavily damaged in the small village of Rui in Iowa County. Now, the good news, there are no reports of any injuries.
And again, this time of year, it is ideal for preparing and updating your severe weather plans. It's going to be a busy spring, no doubt. That includes all of the things on the checklist you see here, getting your weather radios, flashlights, securing any loose items outside, and of course, charging those phones. Another great way to stay up to date when storms are coming, simply download our free First Warn weather app. It has alerts, interactive radar, and much more, all in the palm of your hand. Next tonight, we have breaking news from Madison's south side.
Fire crews are on the scene of a massive fire just off of Park Street. Our McKenna Alexander is live on the scene right now. And McKenna, tell us what you've seen tonight.
Yeah, now this fire has been going on hour 3 right now, starting just around 7:25 whenever fire crews were dispatched. And I wish I could say it's gotten better in the few hours we've been here. You can see her behind me, so many flames. They're rotating where they are in the building. It seems one spot is flaring up and then the next, and just more flames. We have heard several explosions at this point. I've lost track of how many explosions we've heard. We heard one just about 2 minutes ago. Every time we hear a loud boom, we see flames pop up. You can see the heavy smoke billowing into the air, and even just driving away from this fire, you can see it from miles away. And even just 1 mile away, you can smell it in the air. The air is cloudy. It's difficult to see. Now, lots of people have been coming and just standing by and watching. This is what one bystander had to say about what he was seeing.
We can hear things collapsing. It sounds like flames. You know, we see water being put on the flames, but they're not going out any. So I think they have a tough job on their hands, and hopefully they get it done.
Now, I spoke with Madison fire officials just about 10-15 minutes ago. Right now, they do not know the cause of this fire and have not heard of any injuries or deaths reported. But as they continue investigating and as we continue to learn more, we'll be sure to bring you the latest. For right now, live in Madison, McKenna Alexander, News 3 Now.
McKenna, thank you. And we will be getting an update later in the show. But for 24/7 coverage, be sure to check out our social media pages and our Channel 3000 news app.
Next at 10, 2 men are in jail after the deadly shooting on Madison's west side yesterday, the city's second homicide of the year.
Within 3 hours of this incident, Madison police arrested Jarvis Davis and Charles Washington White. The 2 men are facing intentional homicide and firearm possession charges, but have not yet been charged. The shooting happened in a parking lot on Tree Lane just before noon yesterday. Police say they were able to recover a handgun they believe was used in this crime. Chief Sean Barnes says a motive is what's being investigated now.
We just know that there was ongoing conflict between the two. We're not sure or haven't verified what that conflict was about. Again, that goes to motive. And we want to be sure, because you're speaking to someone's intent, you're speaking to why someone didn't like, and the only one of those persons can tell us that right now.
The victim is being identified as a 39-year-old man who suffered multiple gunshot wounds before being pronounced dead at the scene. Police have not released his name. Chandler Halderson, who was found guilty last year in the murder and dismemberment of his parents, is appealing his conviction. Online court records show Halderson's attorney filed a notice of appeal yesterday. Halderson was convicted last year and sentenced to life in prison without parole, being found guilty on all 8 charges filed against him.
Security preparations are underway in Lower Manhattan ahead of former President Trump's arraignment next week. Sources tell CBS News the grand jury voted to indict him on more than 24 counts. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has details on the upcoming legal proceedings.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender to authorities in New York on Tuesday, following his indictment by a Manhattan grand jury. There will be no plea deal, according to his attorney.
This is a case that would not have been brought against another individual in this country if his name wasn't Donald Trump.
CBS News has learned Trump will not be handcuffed, but will have his fingerprints and mugshot taken just before the arraignment. Sources say the indictment could include about 30 counts related to the alleged falsification of records involving hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels in 2016.
Paying hush money is not illegal. Falsifying business records is.
Columbia Law School professor John Coffey expects the trial to begin before the end of this year.
I suspect that Trump is going to try to postpone this trial until after the primaries. I think that will get a lot of resistance from the prosecution, and it denies the voters some fundamental information.
On Tuesday, more than 100 Secret Service agents will be working with other members of law enforcement as Trump travels here to the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse for the proceedings.
A lone wolf who is not bragging on social media that he's going to do this or going to do that. It's the unknown that's always a great concern.
Trump's possible primary opponents are strongly defending him.
The unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States for a campaign finance issue is an outrage.
Trump is expected to return to Mar-a-Lago after Tuesday's arraignment. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And Trump spent part of the day posting social media attacks against Democrats and the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, as a number of Republicans are saying the investigation is politically motivated. Bragg called those claims baseless and inflammatory. And this was put out by the Trump campaign tonight. The developments appear to be helping him raise money. They say more than $4 million has been raised in the first 24 hours since that indictment announcement.
In Tennessee today, the first of 6 funerals was held following the school shooting tragedy in Nashville. A steady stream of mourners donned pink and other bright shades in tribute to Evelyn Diekhouse's light and love of color. Her family describes the 9-year-old, one of 3 children killed in the Nashville shooting, as a constant beacon of joy.
She had a tremendous impact on other people, and so now it's our job to take her light and to spread it.
Family and friends of Cynthia Peak, the substitute teacher killed Monday, are remembering her as faithful and selfless. Last night, community members joined her husband for a sunset walk, something the couple would often do together. A dramatic rescue in New Jersey caught on camera. You can see on this body cam footage of officers responding to reports of a missing child in Buena Vista Township. The 4-year-old boy and his black Labrador had wandered away from home. They were missing for more than an hour when they were found. They were more than a half a mile from home. Thankfully, the terrified child was safe and in good health, and as you can see, his dog stayed with him.
The U.S. Justice Department is suing Norfolk Southern over the Ohio train derailment. Federal prosecutors have now filed a civil lawsuit alleging the company's February 3rd derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, polluted local waterways and violated the Clean Water Act. So far, nearly 7 million gallons of liquid and more than 5,400 tons of solid waste has been taken from the site for disposal. NATO has now officially banned staffers from downloading TikTok on NATO-issued devices. Mostly a formality since the social media app isn't really usable on NATO devices because of internal tech restrictions. NATO is the latest governmental body to ban TikTok over concerns that China could access users' data through Chinese parent company ByteDance.
Pope Francis is expected to return home from the hospital tomorrow. The Vatican says the 82-year-old pontiff will be able to participate in the Palm Sunday Mass service in St. Peter's Square. Pope Francis has been in the hospital for a respiratory infection since Wednesday, and this is the busiest time of the year for the Pope. Still ahead tonight, an update on the active fire on Madison's south side.
Plus, Julian will return with the latest on today's storms and what's coming for the weekend.
It's the Hy-Vee Mega Meat Sale this Friday through Sunday. Ground beef, just $2.98 for a 1-pound roll. Hy-Vee Choice Reserve Filet Mignon, just $7.99. And Hy-Vee Chicken Drumsticks or Thighs, only $1.18 a pound. Only at Hy-Vee.
There were severe health complications with my baby when I was pregnant. We made the decision to have an abortion so our daughter wouldn't suffer. Dan Kelly doesn't believe that women should even have that freedom. On the Supreme Court, Dan Kelly will uphold the criminal ban on abortion. Someone you love might struggle with a pregnancy like I did. And that's why we can't have an extremist like Dan Kelly on the Supreme Court.
Monona Plumbing and Fire Protection, a name you can trust when service is a must.
Monona Plumbing and Fire Protection is here 24 hours a day.
7 days a week for all your residential and commercial plumbing services.
From installation, repairs, and maintenance to complete sewer and drain cleaning, we've got you covered.
Visit MononaPFP.com.
Monona Plumbing and Fire Protection, a name you can trust when service is a must.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors for 35 years. Call today for free information.
Call 800-550-5543.
Legends in Concert share tribute artist Lisa McClowry's live on stage. Presented by the Friends of Middleton Performing Arts Center. April 1st. Tickets available now.
A teenager with the mental capacity of a 6-year-old, tricked by a predator on Facebook using a fake name, who then sexually assaulted her. It was pure evil. If Judge Janet Protasewicz was to ever take a stand for a victim, this was the time, and this was the victim. But she failed, again, placing the man on probation with a measly 60 days in the local jail. Tell Janet Protasewicz, stop letting predators off easy.
Don't miss the Hy-Vee Mega Meat Sale this Friday through Sunday. Hy-Vee Choice Reserve New York Strips, just $5.99. 8-ounce pork chops, 3 for just $5. And Wild Alaska Dungeness Crab Clusters, only $9.99 a pound. Only at Hy-Vee.
It's a big goal.
If this becomes a sport in the WIA, that would be amazing.
And an invitation from the Green Bay Packers could help these young women put it in the end zone. Andrew Banstra catches up with Girls on the Gridiron, Saturday on News 3 Now at 10.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back. We want to get you an update on the active fire at a recycling center in Madison.
This is just off of Park Street and has been burning now for several hours. Let's go back to McKenna Alexander, who's on scene. What's the latest there, McKenna?
In just the last 10 minutes or so since we gave an update, we've heard of 4 more different explosions. And also you can see that one of the cranes has now moved over to the right side of the building and just about a minute ago started dispensing more water onto the fire. That big fire you're seeing there and all those flames is coming out of the result of one explosion we heard. And once those flames erupted, they just went so high into the sky as things started moving very quickly through the rest of the building. Now, other spots are still popping up. It seems like once the fire goes in one spot, it just pops up as soon as where the trucks left beforehand. So this is definitely going to be a continuous effort. This is going on hour 3 now as they've tried to get this control under fire. Again, right now, no injuries or deaths have been reported. As we continue to learn more, we'll bring you the latest. Live in Madison, McKenna Alexander, News 3 Now.
McKenna, thank you. And again, to stay up to date on this developing story, be sure to check out our social media pages, channel3000.com and our Channel 3000 News app.
So as the storm moves through, now what? Your weekend forecast. Here is Julian once again.
Well, we're going to see a little bit of winter. That's what it's going to be like. I know. Aren't we just sick of it yet? April 1st is tomorrow, folks, and we are looking at snow on the way. It's Wisconsin spring. As the storm system has moved its way out, you can see where it's moving across much of Lake Michigan into the northeastern parts of Wisconsin in itself. But right where Minneapolis is starting to get some of that snow, it's going to wrap its way around counterclockwise and start to bring us a little bit of snow, some rain, and some mixing going into the overnight hours for us here in southern Wisconsin. But it's not going to be looking to be too much for us as we get into our Saturday morning, but we'll get to that in just a moment. So now the storm system has moved its way out. Here's a look at our local storm reports. Luckily, it didn't outbreak much for us here in southern Wisconsin, but there were some reports of some tornadoes that had touched down just into the western side of Jefferson County. And for our friends to the southeast, we had about 4 reports. North of Elkhorn, we had about 2 reports of tornadoes, and then just to the southeast of Janesville and just to the eastern side of Interstate 43 is where we had a couple more reports of some tornadoes that had touched down. But to the western side, which was one of our main concerns, was mainly high winds that had really impacted those areas, especially near Platteville, as we were watching some cells that potentially had the possibility and the ingredients to really bring in some tornadoes to touchdowns for that area. So thankfully, we didn't see any for those areas, but we did see some and receive some damage reports on trees and power lines and to other areas as well. But as we take a look at pretty much everywhere else in the upper Midwest and even throughout the United States, it was a very broad system that moved its way throughout much of the United States. As you can see, all the storm reports are really coming in from northern parts of Missouri, had in Iowa, Illinois, and of course our friends in Tennessee, Arkansas had dealt with tornadoes that were very broad, and we even showed video of it earlier today and tonight. Now, what's next? Well, temperatures are going to drop, and on top of it, some snow. Going into our Saturday morning, and the winds are really going to pick up overnight. By the time it gets to lunchtime, 12 o'clock, you can see those winds still being on to the stronger side, but start to taper off once we get into our evening hours. Temperatures will be into the lower 40s. It's going to be a little chilly, but it's doable. It's just the winds that are going to be the main issue. Saturday nights, clear skies, temperatures near the freezing points, and then Sunday morning, we'll start to see a shift in temperatures. Southerly winds will start to breeze their way through, which is going to bring us to the 50-degree mark throughout much of southern Wisconsin, and we are going to get some sunshine as well. Not a lot of whole precipitation for the rest of the weekend, which is great news for us after all the rain that we got for today. Now, the wind speeds, again, folks, are going to be very blustery throughout our Saturday morning, but we'll taper off once we get into our Saturday evening. So that's the good news outside of the strong winds that we're going to be experiencing. Now, a look at what we have ahead going into the first part of next week. Tuesday afternoon and nights, we're watching for a system to potentially bring in some more thunderstorms. And now we'll stick into the overnight going into our Wednesday morning. Still watching for potential of that being severe. But as of right now, here's a look at our weekend forecast. 41 on Saturdays, 56 for Sunday. Partly sunny skies, still going to be breezy, but much milder. Now, as we take a look at what we have for our 10-day forecast going into next week, Going to be stable into the 50s, cooling down a bit heading into our Wednesday, but at least next weekend, if things hold out, we're looking for a finally quiet weekend and finally a quiet end to our work week after all these active weeks.
This time tomorrow, the NCAA championship game will be set, but first you gotta battle it out in the Final Four. We have a preview of those games coming up in sports.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
At Pick and Save, we want our fresh produce to meet your expectations, which is why we do up to a 27-point inspection to check for things like color and scarring. Because when it comes to fresh, higher standards mean fresher produce. Pick and Save, fresh for everyone.
There are so many things we take for granted. So many things. And along with them, sometimes we take the people who depend on them for their survival for granted too. The elderly, disabled, the veterans, people on limited and fixed incomes, or folks that lost jobs in sectors hardest hit during the pandemic. How can they survive with record increases in their basic cost of living? Some people just can't come back. And through no fault of their own, they're being left behind, struggling to keep their heat, water, and power on. If you or someone you know needs a hand up, our heat, water, and power providers are working together to keep you safely in your home. You may not ask for it, but we're here to help.
You already know Dan Kelly worked for a radical anti-abortion group, and on the court could uphold Wisconsin's 1849 abortion ban with no exceptions for rape or incest. Here's what you didn't know. Kelly opposed background checks on all gun sales and even wrote the court decision making it easier for dangerous people to carry guns in public, banning abortion, putting our communities at risk. Dan Kelly is too extreme for our Supreme Court.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Non-drowsy Claritin knocks out symptoms from over 200 allergens without knocking you out. Feel the clarity and make today the most wonderful time of the year. Live Claritin Clear.
Need life insurance? SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy, a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Make a move in the most electrifying Honda vehicles yet. Like the CR-V and Accord, with available hybrid powertrains designed for more responsive performance and more advanced tech. When you drive a Honda, you're driving with the 2022 Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Value brand. Get moving and find the Honda for you. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local Honda dealer today.
When your door is always open, so is the fridge. At Pick and Save, however you shop, in-store, pickup, or delivery, you get the same great prices, deals, and rewards. That's a win-win-win. Pick and Save, fresh for everyone.
It's the eve of the Final Four, and truly no one saw this year's bracket shaking out the way it has. But hey, that's the madness for you. Taking the court first tomorrow night with the hopes of punching their ticket to the championship game are a pair of Final Four first-timers with FAU and San Diego State, both of them wanting to make history.
We're not scared of any challenge. We love playing under the bright lights, so it's no pressure for us. We just play our game and try to execute everything as best as we can and have fun.
Mid-majors have some good players, so I think we're just representing that, and a lot of teams here have a chance to make history for their schools and for their city that they come from. So, I mean, it's just, you kind of have to respect that.
And following that game, both of which that are airing here on CBS, is Miami and UConn. The Huskies are seasoned vets when it comes to the big stage. Since 1999, they've won 4 natties, while Miami is seeking its first. And now the Huskies come in with plenty of experience, yes, but they feel like they've been counted out this season.
I still feel like we're the underdog. I feel like we've been that the entire year. I feel like we came into the season and a lot of teams, a lot of people just underrated us, and we still play with that same chip on our shoulder.
So it feel like a big accomplishment just coming here in the Final Four and just realizing we're the top 4 teams in the country, just still playing basketball, and there's not a lot of teams playing basketball right now, so it's a big accomplishment for us.
The women's Final Four taking place tonight. LSU is championship game bound, and in action right now is Iowa and the defending national champ South Carolina. This game coming down to the wire. At last check, Iowa is up 69-65. For the first time since 2017, Wisconsin's defense will be run by someone new, and that guy is Mike Tressel. He came in over the offseason from Cincinnati, where he headed the Bearcats' defense and linebackers for the past 2 seasons. So new coach, new scheme. I mean, that's just the reality the Badgers are facing this spring. From the sounds of it, especially coming from those inside linebackers, they are stoked for Tressel's vision and the effort that he's put into building relationships.
Kind of made the space like, yeah, we're on a time crunch. We have to learn this new defense, get everyone up to speed. But he's been taking the time as well to know us individually and as a group. At the end of the day, the opportunity to learn another defense and be productive in another defense only adds to my resume and my experience. And every coach that comes through has something to teach me, and it's my job to learn and be a sponge.
Braylon Allen already earning preseason honors. The rising junior running back is named a Walter Camp preseason second-team All-American. In both his freshman and sophomore seasons, he rushed for over 1,000 yards, becoming just the 5th Badger to ever do that. He heads into the 2023 campaign with over 2,500 career yards on the ground, leading all Power 5 running backs. Well, it's been the waiting game this week for Wisconsin softball. The Badgers set to have their home opener on Tuesday against Green Bay. Field conditions prevented that from happening, but the wait is over. UW returned to Goodman Diamond today with Game 1 against Illinois. The Illini played 2 runs in the first, then it's all Bucky. Kayla Conwent ties this game up in the bottom of the frame with a 2-run homer. Now that tie holds till the 4th inning, where it's Ellie Hubbard who blasts her first home run of the season. There's that go-ahead. The Badgers score 6 unanswered runs to win their home opener 6-2, and Game 2 is tomorrow at 3. We'll be right back.
Have you heard? We've outgrown our space. Again! Save up to half off floor samples and special orders at Dwellings Construction Sale. Dwellings, interior design and home furnishings. Still Madison's best kept $150 secret.
On abortion rights, do you want extremist Dan Kelly holding the gavel? Kelly wants abortion banned even in cases of rape, incest, and the health of the mother. He'll uphold the 1849 criminal abortion law that allows doctors and nurses to be jailed for performing abortions. And he'll strip women of their freedom to make their own decision on abortion. So don't give Dan Kelly a gavel with your vote. He's just too extreme.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors for 35 years. Call today for free information.
Call 800-550-5543.
Family-owned Brothers Maine knows choosing appliances for a remodel or new build can be exciting and overwhelming. Our experienced staff has experienced it all as we've guided thousands of area families through appliance selection. Brothers Maine has a larger inventory and low-price deals that consistently beat competitors, including Big Box. You heard me, Big Box can't beat our prices. From sales to install, Brothers Maine does it all. Feel great about your purchases and feel like family at Brothers Maine.
Right now, Planet Fitness, you can get that big fitness energy for just $1 down, $10 a month. No commitment, cancel anytime. It's a great deal, and our 17 million members agree.
You can say that again.
Okay, as I said, you can join for just $1 down, $10 a month.
What a deal!
So turn your low energy into big fitness energy and enjoy tons of equipment in a clean and spacious judgment-free zone to get that post-workout glow. So get going, or shall I say glowing? Join for just $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, April 5th.
Update your home's exterior with help from Menards. We have a great selection of siding options to choose from, including vinyl, pre-finished, steel, stone veneer, and more. Protect your home's exterior and save big money. Check out our great selection of premium vinyl siding from CertainTeed. Choose from a wide variety of colors to add value and curb appeal to your home. Right now, CertainTeed Main Street siding is $7.99 per piece after 11% off at Menards. Save big money at Menards.
The local water experts at Culligan can take care of everything but the kitchen sink. Actually, we do that too. Culligan, here for every water worry.
Have you heard? We've outgrown our space. Again! Save up to half off floor samples and special orders at Dwellings Construction Sale. Dwellings, interior design and home furnishings. Still Madison's best kept $150 secret.
Call for action only on News 3 Now.
Welcome back. We are taking one last look at the massive fire currently burning on Madison's south side. It has been burning now for several hours. The Madison Fire Department is asking people within a half mile on Park Street to stay inside and keep their doors closed as smoke spreads through the area.
It's unknown at this point how this fire started, but the fire department is asking people again to avoid that area. Be sure to stay with us online and on air for any and all updates. We also want to get you an update on the weather with Julian.
It's going to be windy and colder to start this weekend, but the good news is the severe weather threat is pretty much over with. Could see some snow on the ground, but it's going to be sunny for Sunday, 50s. Could see some more storms heading into our Tuesday night.
All right, Julian, thank you, and thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good and have a great weekend.